Hey there YouTube, this is my second video, I think, that I've uploaded ever. Time right now is around 12:32 in the morning, and I figured that since I'm still awake, I'd show you a few things that I used in order to make a cigar box guitar. That's the cigar box guitar right there. Second one I made, first one kind of broke. I'll get to that later. But first, let's go over the supplies I used. Well, first off, you're gonna need a cigar box. I already cut into it. It's because I'm making a third one. So those are the holes for the neck, and these are the sound holes. You're gonna want to use I used a cordless power drill. A bunch of various bits that you could use. I used a lot of them. Safety glasses. Safety first, always important. You're also gonna want to use wood glue. Personally, I use Titebond. It was recommended by another YouTube user who made a few cigar box guitars, and I've used it personally. It actually does its job pretty well. Doesn't take that long to set, and when it does need to set, it only takes around 30 minutes. I also like to use a rasp. This was for roughing down, smoothing out some of the edges after I cut through it with a hacksaw. And measuring tape. That way you can go keep track of your progress and stuff. And of course, you're gonna need a few planks of wood. This is a shorter plank because I cut it up to use for a bit of this guitar. But yeah, typically you're gonna want a 1x2, somewhere around 3 feet long. I would recommend using red oak, but I've seen some people use poplar, and apparently that's also a good wood. I've used it. It really doesn't do the job that well. You're also gonna want a large eye bolt, and if you're not gonna do the hokey thing and decide to go with eye bolt tuners, you could go with regular Guitar Gear tuners. But because I was going for the entire hokey cobbled together from scratch thing, I used 3 eye bolts, some nuts, wing nuts obviously, and some washers. Now, the first thing I did when I went about making this was I cut through the body. Now, I made sure that the planks were flush with the top of the lid, with the bottom of the lid, and that it was somewhat aligned through so that I could just slide it in, as so. Or just make sure that it had a very snug fit. This isn't that perfect because I'm still working on it, but it can slide through. Very nice. It's a nice snug fit. I measured it out with a pencil, then cut it out with a hacksaw. Then I used the rasp to smooth out the edges a bit, so that it would have a nice, somewhat level surface upon which I could set the planks. Now, after I put the plank in, I used the Titebond wood glue. Had it clamped down for around 30 minutes. It was perfectly safe to move after that. After I moved all the clamps away, got all the pressure out. Then, last thing I did to prepare the body for the guitar was to add in sound holes. You can use a scroll. I've seen some designs online. You could use a scroll saw to make the so you could make it all artsy-fartsy, but since I didn't have a scroll saw, I just used a 1/2-inch drill bit to drill 2 holes in the my guitar's body. Same thing I did with the one the fully complete one right over there. The neck was something else, so I had a little bit of trouble with, but I got around to it. The neck that I'm using for, well, this guitar right here, it's actually shortened by around 4 inches. The headstock was originally 4 inches higher from around here, but I made a mistake in sanding it down and I had to cut it off. But typically for the headstock of the guitar, you're going to want to measure out a line about 4 inches from the top of the plank and just measure that off. Since the eye bolts are 1/4 inch, I used a 1/4 inch drill bit, drill 3 holes, boom, boom, boom. And I made sure that these 2 holes didn't line up with each other, otherwise that would have had stringing problems. So you want this one offset by just a little bit. I saw a guide online say it was around 3/8 of an inch. But, you know, it just doesn't really matter. You just don't want to have that sort of, like, docking problem right there. Since the design is since the neck does go through the entire guitar, let me just show that to you. You're going to want to leave about maybe 1/2 inch of space left at the bottom of the plank right here, and you want to mark it off with a pencil so you can make the bridge. That was a bad hit. And then, more importantly, so you can just like string the strings right through the bridge. Well, you may have noticed there are 6 holes here instead of, well, it should be 3. These are the original holes, but they were a little bit too large for the strings to fit through, so I had to cut my losses and just make another 3 a little bit closer. I set the neck in, and then, well, actually, first thing that I did when I made this guitar was, first thing I did was I prepped the neck first, got the headstock done. It's not that, it's supposed to have a rough look, I guess. Got the headstock done, got the bridge done, tried to sand out an area where I'd be able to see where I'd be able to just file off and try and contour it a bit. See on my headstock. And then I set it in. Once again, used the wood glue, 30 minutes. After that was done, I tried stringing it, but originally this plank, I don't know if you can see it through your computers, but originally this plank right here, this second plank, it wasn't here. It was just this, it was only like this first plank. And so, as you can see from how high the strings are, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's focusing. No, it's not. But yeah. But since the strings were so high, the action was pretty much made the guitar unplayable. So I had to do a little bit of quick thinking and make the neck flush with the lid of the top of the lid of the guitar. I'm running out of video here, so I'm going to cut it short right here and begin like right where I pick up right where I left off.